Greetings and salutations, and welcome to another episode of the Dino Brothers Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Boogie, joined by my main man, Deuce Deuce. What do you got to say today, Deuce, on this snowy, frigid night?
The weather's been bad, so I'm glad we're inside. But it looks like the honeymoon period for the season is over. The Raps have lost a couple games, and it's time to start grinding.
Yeah, this week back-to-back losses to the Cavs, um, which is, just bringing us back down to earth, which is hopefully a healthy reality check. But with all the snow, I'm definitely feeling like it is in the north right now. This has been a cruel reminder to me.
Yeah, for sure. It was hard. It was a tough time getting around the city today. Definitely dangerous. But it's been a while since we recorded a podcast. But we had a win against Sacramento, easy win. A win against Utah, easy win. Then we lost to the Cavs last Friday. That was disappointing. We were all there at the ACC, living in that loss. Came away with an easy win against Denver, and then lost again to the Cavs the other night. So, how do you feel about our recent record so far? That's 4-2 over those games I just talked about.
Well, we knew there would be some growing pains over this little stretch without DeMar. You know, building that chemistry again amongst the new guys that are playing together. Casey's been making some adjustments, trying to, figure out exactly how he's going to navigate through this period. So, I expect it to be par for the course. We knew that they couldn't keep up with that breakneck pace that they were keeping up, just rattling off just nonstop wins, right?
For sure, that
But
that was too good to be true.
and this stretch too, like we're playing much better competition. Sacramento, not a pushover,
Pretty
but we
good. They're
won
in the
that.
West.
Utah, young team, beat them.
Yeah.
Cavs, Cavs and the Bulls, which are pretty much the two best teams in the East. Um, Not necessarily by record, but coming into the season in terms of talent, everyone knows that they're pretty decent teams, and those are the teams that we've lost to this season. And then Denver has talent as well. Again, it was no team to just scoff at. We got to win there again, but I mean, yeah, I'm not ringing the alarm yet, but we've seen some things that we haven't been too happy with, but I'm just looking for improvement, and we know it's a long season.
Yeah, like we're a deep team. We've got a lot of ways to win. Like scoring hasn't really been a problem throughout the course of the game. We did see last night against Cleveland, scoring can be a problem in the fourth quarter, and I think that's just a result of adjusting your lineups to not having DeMar DeRozan. There's not as clear a pecking order in the offense now, so people are adjusting to their new roles. And without DeMar, like the defense is starting to key in on Kyle Lowry a lot, so he's got to look to get his teammates going and hope they can knock down some shots.
No, definitely. I mean, I totally agree in terms of the whole end the game and crunch time situations. In terms of it's nice to have a nice 1-2 punch like we normally do. So right now, normally it's Lowry, DeMar, or just whoever's open. Now it's Lowry and he's been getting a lot of doubles. It's been a little bit harder for him to create, and some of the other guys haven't been stepping up as much, or they've just been trying to step up. But unfortunately, the shots haven't sank.
Yeah, and you can see Dwayne Casey's playing around with lineups at the end of games, putting people in, pulling people out, seeing what works. One player who has stood out to me in a good way, though, has been Patrick Patterson. He's been coming through with some clutch threes in the at the end of games to keep us in it, which has been helpful.
It's just been the old rain on three.
He's the Pat man.
No, P-Pad has been killing it.
Yeah.
He's been playing very well. He's stepped up, and you know, some people have been complaining how he's been a bit of a defensive liability, but I think he's been bringing the effort on both sides of the court. Yes, he needs to play better defensively at times, but like you
So does
said,
the entire team.
exactly.
Right. Um, I am a little bit worried about Amir Johnson. Like he's always playing hard, leaving everything out on the floor, but he's obviously playing injured or something because he doesn't seem like his normal self.
Yeah, I agree. It definitely looks like something's not right. He hasn't been moving very fluidly up and down the court, so there's definitely a worry because we need him in the lineup. Like he's key to just our team chemistry gelling. He's got good defense, and what I'm really more worried about too is like the long run. Like Amir's had a history of injuries. He's had some bad luck recently, and is he going to be available and healthy come the end of the season and come playoff time?
Yeah, for sure. He's a warrior. He'll play through injuries. But if I was in Masai Ujiri's shoes, that is something I would look to target through trade or free agency next season. And we talked about it here. Like we need a starting four who's reliable because Amir's good, but it's hard to play through injuries.
Well, that's one of the things that has been the most evident over the last few games is that we've been getting destroyed in the paint. Like
Yep.
we don't have a presence in the paint. We can't consistently get rebounds. And if you want to make a deep run in the playoffs, you need to be controlling the paint and at least having someone reliable down there. So, in terms of long term, this is where I'm getting worried in terms of I don't know what their direction is in terms of do we see a window here where we want to make a move? Like we know that if we want to make a deep run, we definitely need at least one more piece, maybe two more pieces. So we're going to need to make some moves.
Hmm.
But it's like when is that window for us? Is it this year? Are we going to make a trade, move someone? Or are we going to wait till next season, see what pieces move around in the league, not have to give away one of our young guys necessarily? So that's what's going to be interesting to see. But we definitely, yeah, we need, whether it's, a dominant four or another strong backup five, who knows? But yeah, something definitely needs to be done there long term.
Yeah, I don't think there's any reason to panic right now, and I don't think Masai will. Like we're still winning at this point. It's not like we're in a threat of falling out of the playoffs. So I think he can. We have the luxury of waiting around for a good sale, basically on a four.
No, absolutely. Like you said, we're going to do well in the East. We're making the playoffs. It's just if we want to get to that next level and make a deep run, um, Tyler Hansbrough, Chuck Hayes just aren't going to cut it,
Yeah,
you know?
we need to shore up the front line.
Exactly.
Yeah, but JV has been playing pretty well over the past couple games. He's pulling down a lot of rebounds, looking more confident in the post. What do you think of his play?
You know me, like, I love JV. I'm always rooting for him. And he has played well, and he stepped up, rattled off a couple double doubles, which is what he needs to do. Demar's down. We need him to step up. He's got to keep growing, and he's got to battle it out in the post and keep improving his game. So I'm definitely happy to see this, but kind of like we were alluding to before, JV also needs to step up. He is still young. I hear all of that, and I'm happy with what I've seen, but I'm just so invested in JV that I just want to see him succeed and just, dummy other guys in the court and just take that next step. And, you know, I'm gonna be the first to be singing his praises as I always do. But yeah, no, I'm happy with his performance over the week. What do you think?
I think he's been playing well. He's showing a lot more urgency and aggression, grabbing those rebounds, which I like. One thing that is concerning me is his defense. I just feel like he sort of just sticks his hands up and hopes to get bailed out by the principle of verticality. I think he's got to look to move his feet more and go for the block or just like, to give the shot a good contest. Because when someone's driving the lane against a 7 footer, they're going to usually throw more than one move at you, right? So you can't be just throwing your hands up on the first move and then getting blown by.
Yeah, I mean, some bigs they're not great at blocking shots, but they redirect guys and get their contests in kind of a different manner, kind of like Amir a little bit.
Hmm.
But for whatever reason, JV doesn't seem to do that, and people always just part of the reason why a lot of other teams are getting such a high field goal percentage against us at times is because they're just driving, and he doesn't really seem to be able to redirect them as effectively as you'd like to see.
Well, what I don't like is that usually he ends up drawing a foul,
Yeah,
which kind of sucks.
yeah, that too.
Yeah, so the Raptors defense has sort of fallen off a cliff lately, which on paper shouldn't be DeMar DeRozan's fault. Um, but the fact is that opponents are scoring an insane amount of points on us, and we just can't find a way to stop them regularly. What do you think we have to do going forward to remedy that?
Yeah, and kind of in the Demar piece, I mean, now they're not having to work as hard. Some other teams aren't having to work as hard defensively, so they have more energy on the offensive side, and they're doubling Lowry, so it's kind of wearing him down a little bit. So I mean, there is that impact there. Um, sorry, what was I supposed to respond to that? I forget what the question was.
We're just talking about our defense, what we can do to improve it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they just need to have some better communication, make sure they're picking up their assignments,
Yeah.
because a lot of time people are just getting easy buckets, easy paths to the basket, and there are little miscues that are giving the other team that extra step, and we're just not rotating quick enough or whatever it might be, and that's one thing.
Yeah, and I find we're giving up a lot of just open threes, which is concerning because there are a lot of people who can knock those down these days.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, we've been in the last few games, especially, we've been giving up a lot of open corner threes, which earlier in the season we'd been giving them up more towards the top of the arc. Now the corner three has been open and teams have been hitting them.
Yep, corner three is money ball. A lot of teams are game planning for that, so we got to shut that down.
Yeah, we got to respect the threes because that's what's keeping a lot of these other teams in it, and
Yep,
then they've managed to just scrape out the win.
yep. Uh, so coming up this week for the Raptors, Friday we're playing Indiana in the ACC, and then we're going to New York on Sunday. Then coming back to the ACC on Monday to play at Orlando, and then Brooklyn's coming to town on Wednesday for Drake night, our first time seeing them since last year's playoffs, and then Detroit on Friday, and again New York next Sunday. What do you think of the upcoming schedule?
Well, first I'll just say that Monday night game in Orlando right now, Pizza Pizza, some select locations, it's like buy a large pizza, get 2 tickets to that game.
Yeah.
So anyone out there, take advantage of that. On the Friday game, so not this Friday, next Friday at Detroit, there's another one of those tour groups. We the North Tours is
I saw
it's
that.
like $100 for a ticket to the game and transportation, which is a pretty good deal. So yeah, again, if any listeners are interested, look into either of those deals. But this stretch is a very winnable stretch. I mean, this is just bread and butter of the East here. Indiana, very winnable game. Knicks, again, they've been horrendous this season. They're always scrappy against us, but that should be a W. Orlando, again, Orlando was very scrappy, and they gave us a scare last time, and we barely held on or scraped back to win that one. Tobias Harris, Vucevic are just dumbing us, putting on a clinic. Brooklyn, again, not great. It's a nationally televised game on ESPN, so they're going to be bringing it. And then Detroit on that next Friday, Knicks again. So theoretically, I see no reason, even with our current roster and our kind of the state of our health, I don't see any reason why we can't win all these games. If not, if we drop one game in this stretch, that's fine. But no, we need to show some character and strength here, get that chemistry going again, and rattle off some W's. What do you think?
Yeah, Rap's got to take care of business against these teams. All of these teams are like well below 500. The Knicks' current record is 420. Ha ha ha
What
ha.
up?
But Detroit, that tour should be fun to go to because they'll actually pick you up. Everyone meets on a bus and they go to Detroit, watch the game, come back. That should be a fun time. You should hear a lot of Raptors cheering for that because the Pistons suck this year. There's also another game, I think in January, where we're playing Detroit. They're also doing that tour. So if this one sells out, look for that one. But I'm looking forward to Drake night, playing Brooklyn on Wednesday, and that's going to be Drake night. So that'll be a lot
Yeah,
of fun.
it's gonna be a sick game. Me and you are both going to that, getting our limited edition OVO T-shirts.
Yep. Hanging out with Drake, having fun.
For sure. Although the tees this year, they look, I don't know, they look a bit bush league. It's kind of some basic shit. Like,
They look.
I'm excited. I want to see what it looks like in person, but it's not like I'm not blown away at first glimpse.
It's not black and gold, and that disappoints me.
Yeah, exactly. Because I got one of the shirts from the first strike night, and it's sick. I love that shirt.
Yeah, those were nice shirts, and they had a nice effect on the stadium. You black the whole thing out. It looks pretty cool.
Oh yeah. So no, definitely it's gonna be a test to see. These are games that the Raptors should and need to win if we want to hold on to the lead in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, so just taking a look at the Eastern Conference, obviously the Raptors have dropped a couple games over the past few weeks. We're coming back down to earth. But the Eastern Conference playoff picture is getting a little more interesting. So the Raptors are in first, 16 and 6, but half a game back is Atlanta and Washington. Didn't really expect those guys to be here this late into the season. And then just behind them is Cleveland and Chicago. They're 2 and 2.5 games back from us. What do you think about these? That's the top six teams in the East right now.
Yeah, and then per usual in the East after that, Milwaukee, Miami, Brooklyn are all sub 500 teams holding on to that 6, 7, 8 positions right now.
Yeah.
So the race at the top is very tight right now. I mean, we don't have much breathing room. Atlanta has been just on a tear, and they've been playing insane. Jeff Teague is just killing it this year.
Yeah, he's legit. Yeah, I
So,
didn't even know they've ripped off 8 wins in a row. They did that really quietly.
oh yeah, there's been some murmurs. I mean, they're getting some attention now. They got a good team. Yeah, they're 9-1 over their last 10. So
Hmm.
yeah, they got some fight in them. They're gonna be hanging around all season.
Yeah, well, that's good for them. It's good that they're back on track with Al Horford back in the lineup.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And then Washington in third. We expected them to be at least about this good when the season started. They got a lot of good young players, and they could be our primary rival in the East.
For sure, they got Bradley Beal back. They're kind of hitting their groove now a little bit. Although there was that, they laid an egg the other night when they're at home and they just got killed by the Cavs. Like they were down by like 25 points as of the second quarter and didn't fight back at all. That was a painful game. So they're kind of in the same sort of story as the Raps, But no, they definitely are looking good. I've been following them a little bit, so it's going to be interesting when they come back to town again and we get to face them head to head.
Yeah, that'll be a good matchup. Uh, Cleveland, like what can you say? They haven't lost since we beat them, which feels like forever ago. So they're really hitting their stride and looking really good.
Yeah, now Cleveland they're getting that chemistry. We knew there'd be some growing pains for them and the whole kind of culture shift in terms of new veteran players, new coach, and, all the stuff that we heard about in terms of the locker room issues last year in Cleveland. So, now that we're 20 games into the season, they're starting to, get rolling,
Yeah,
which is kind of what we expected.
it looks like LeBron's whipped them into shape. Chicago, they're just doing work. Pau Gasol is on a tear. I think he's averaging like 20 and 12. Derrick Rose hasn't missed a game in a couple of weeks, so that helps them. I'm just looking at my fantasy lines. He's a little up and down, but he's definitely getting his groove back.
Oh, you have D Rose, eh?
I've been riding the D Rose train. It's been a little stressful because he's had a lot of DNPs this year, but he's had looks like 7 or 8 games in a row. He's up and down. It's good.
Yeah, I didn't draft him. I made the mistake of drafting him last year in one of my leagues. That was a throwaway.
Yeah.
But no, like you said, Pow, just killing it this year. He's actually trying, and it's good to see him like succeed again. Because, you know, I was never a huge Pow player, but I feel like over the last couple of years, he's getting way too much grief. Um,
He's good, man. Like he's really good at what he does, you
yeah,
know.
no, definitely.
And Jimmy Butler's been stepping up there, and he's been playing amazing. So
Oh yeah, I mean Jimmy, he's one good storyline in terms of he's just really taken that next step, and the team has needed him to, and he's stepped up.
yep. Uh, so AllStar voting has begun for the NBA, and we got to rally all the Toronto fans. Like I'm gonna be tweeting every day, just getting more Raptors. Every time you tweet with a Raptors name and the hashtag NBA ballot, that counts as a vote. So that sounds like a fair and democratic system to me. So I think we should all just spam that as much as we possibly can.
Exactly, and not just Lowry, also DeRozan. He's out right now, but we got to give him some love and get those votes in for him early.
Yeah, like I think it'd be really awesome if the North could vote in their players, show the NBA like how many people we actually are.
Well, that's the thing. This is going to be, it needs to be a grassroots campaign in terms of we know that the deck is stacked against us in terms of we're not going to get that national attention down south. ESPN, loves Kyrie. They love the Cavs. But like Kyrie should not get in. I mean, he's been playing well recently, but he should not get in over Lowry.
Not at all.
So it's up to us pretty much. So let's get those votes in. I've seen a few trickling in through my feeds, and I know it just started today, but we got to vote vigorously, furiously, and often.
We gotta be aggressive and diligent.
Absolutely.
And so I got a chance to check out the Raptors documentary series, Open Gym. They released their first episode last week. Uh, and it's been really good in the past, but I gotta say this episode was a little bit more boring. Mostly they were just talking about NBA Africa. Masai was going overseas with Amir Johnson and Coach Casey, doing his thing, spreading NBA cares in Africa, teaching kids how to play basketball, giving them a place to play, which is all good and fun, but it didn't actually involve the Raptors too much. Uh, but next week will be good because they're going to talk about the new additions to the team. They got an interview with Lou Williams, so I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, no, definitely Open Gym airs weekly on TSN 4 and then on YouTube at the end of the week. So check it out. And yeah, it's definitely last year that series was so. It was a good product. It was pretty sick. Got me so hyped. So yeah, the first episode wasn't as exciting, but like you said, once we get into the season, some of the storylines, the start of the season, how well they're doing, I'm sure it's going to be very entertaining.
I still get a tear in my eye when I watch that season finale from last year, just talking about the playoffs. That was painful.
Oh, I know that last episode. I've only watched it once. I haven't been able to watch it again because it's tough to relive that.
It's too traumatizing.
Exactly.
Yep. So going around the rest of the NBA, Andrew Wiggins put it in work. What do you think of his development so far? Did you see his highlight reel from the other day?
Oh yeah. I mean, this is what I'm happy to see. At the start of the season, obviously, he's just been trying to hit his groove, get adjusted to the NBA lifestyle. He moved across the country to a new place, so at first he wasn't even taking that many shots. He was kind of, just feeling his way out. Now he's actually stepping up, taking more of a leadership role offensively as well as defensively. So always he had, even at the start of the year, he was solid defensively. He still is, but now, he's not afraid to take his shots. He's been distributing as well, and he's been lighting it up. He's been looking good.
Yeah, I was watching his highlights yesterday. He had a double double, 23 points, 10 rebounds, and he was looking amazing. When his jumper's going, like he starts to give them a lot of problems because he can throw you a lot of different looks. He can pull up for a jump shot. He even showed some decent turnarounds. Uh, and he's not afraid to drive into the paint and draw the foul. And at one point, he even stopped a 3-on-1 fast break. That was really impressive.
Oh, I saw that. He like hit the hardwood at one point, managed to pass it out, but yeah, that was yeah. Three Blazers running down the court. He gets in there. Just pure effort and will.
Exactly. You got to respect that. And, he helped them. The Timberwolves have been struggling a little bit. He's not on a great team, but he played a good game yesterday, and they managed to take down the Blazers. So that's good
No,
for them.
exactly. Like they've been struggling a lot, but like you said, he's stepping up now on the offensive end and dropping some baskets. When his Jay is on, he's just killing it. Just hitting some nice pull ups, hitting some nice like ISO sets, just doing work all around. So Wiggins making us proud.
Yep. Can't wait to see him in a couple more years. He's going to be so good.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to see him in March when the T Wolves come to Toronto.
I might have to borrow your Upper Bowl tickets for that game.
For sure, you can join me. I mean, we gotta see when the future of Canadian basketball
Yep.
shows up in the hangar.
Yeah. Uh, so I heard that Drake got into a little kerfuffle in Miami.
Yep. So apparently, um, at like Live nightclub in South Beach, um, after the club, like Drake was leaving, getting into his car or something, and Diddy just knocks on the door. They're talking for a couple minutes, and all of a sudden, just boom! Diddy just sucker punches him out of nowhere, and Drake is the bigger man, and walks away. Apparently, there's some reports that like he had a separated shoulder and all these things. Like, no, I think he was fine. Drake was being the better man, the bigger man. He's not listening to Diddy. Diddy is just feeling, not relevant, just getting jealous, you know. And Drake is doing what Drake's do. He's representing himself in Canada proudly, just macking bitches, getting it in, making us proud, and not falling for the bait. And I
Yeah,
mean, yeah.
Drake is a worldwide phenomenon now. He's really hitting his stride. And P Diddy, he's fallen off a bit. Like no one's really heard anything from him recently. Apparently, this fight was under the contention that Drake's latest or whatever Drake's song 0 to 100 was apparently stolen. Like Puff Daddy was gonna do it, but then the producer gave it to Drake. Whatever.
Well, the story was like apparently so Drake was gonna do it. Like the producer made it for Drake, but like Diddy was supposed to be featured on and was supposed to drop a verse,
Okay.
but he just never recorded his verse. So Drake just did his own verses, cut the track, dropped it, and it blew up.
Because
And
it's a
next
good
thing,
song.
exactly, next thing you know, they're in a parking lot and he's going from 0 to 100 real quick, and he's getting a little dust up, taking one to the jaw. But that's the thing. Like, go to any NBA game anywhere in North America, you're gonna hear a Drake song played over the course of that game at one point.
Exactly. That's the
Like,
Steph. That's the Splash Brothers theme song right there.
exactly. I mean, Drake's our boy. He's sick, so can't wait for Drake night. Celebrate the man
Yeah, that's gonna be a lot of fun.
for
And
sure. And
yeah, and one more last note to land on. Terrence Ross just had his first child, so congratulations to Terrence Ross on becoming a father.
T. Ross, he's recreating. He's multiplying. Congrats, bro. That's exciting to see. So I mean, I'm sure T. Ross, Demar, and Lowry are just gonna be bonding even more now that they all have kids.
Yeah, they can exchange diaper changing techniques.
Exactly. So yeah, congrats, my man. Big things going on.
Yeah.
So happy for him.
Is there anything else we want to cover on this?
I think that's about it. So let's keep an eye on the Raps. They got to rattle off some consecutive wins. Tune into our recaps. They're all going to be positive and happy because we're going to be rattling off wins. We're going to be growing as a team, gelling that much more. So I'm pumped for this next little stretch. Let's beat up on these weak East teams, solidify ourselves at the top of the East, build up our confidence. Not false confidence because we know where we need to improve, but we're just gonna beat up on weak teams, and I'm pumped for this.
Exactly. I won't tolerate losses to any of these teams. They're all garbage. We should beat them all. Um, don't forget to vote for the Raptors using Twitter, Instagram, or NBA.com using the hashtag NBA ballot. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter at DinoBros_TO and to check us out on Instagram at DinoBros.
Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Have a good night.